Welcome back to the Fantasy Football TokeNCast. I'm your host Travis, here with Ricky.
Howdy, howdy.
And we're about to do a mock draft for you folks.
Mock draft?
Whoop!
All right, we're going to turn it over to Bob for that announcement for the 13th overall pick for the 2017 Token League Draft.
The 2017 Sarah Yangs select Dak Prescott, quarterback, Mississippi State.
He was on the phone with the Dallas
Cowboys. What we're gonna do. There's a website called Fantasy Pros, and they have a mock draft simulator where it takes into account a whole bunch of experts, like 130 experts' rankings and ADP, and it puts it all into an algorithm, and it takes like 5 minutes to do a mock draft, which, I mean, you can do probably 30 in a day and be prepared for any, pretty much it. You go through it and it allows you to set your league type, your scoring, if you have a different type of draft, like a non-snake draft, and then you can set the number of teams, and you can even pick which position if you already know which position you have. And then it gives you roster positions. You can pick all of those too. And what we'll do today is we'll hit randomize, which I just did, and we get draft position 2 out of 12. So what we're gonna do is me and Ricky are gonna go through and we're gonna talk about each pick and why we made that pick, and maybe we'll differ on we'll talk about a couple of players that are there. And maybe we'll differ on a couple of opinions. That's probably going to happen at some point. So
it's going to happen.
I mean, obviously everybody likes different people at different points. But, you know, we'll go through it and we'll see what kind of team we can make. We put in all of our league settings just in case you don't know. You just haven't looked at them or whatever. We have 1 QB, 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, a wide receiver running back flex, and a wide receiver tight end flex, and then 6 bench spots. Well, obviously kicker and a defense too, but those don't really matter as much.
Do we have 6 or 7 bench spots?
That's a good question.
I can check, but for
We're
some
gonna
reason
check that real quick.
I thought we had a pretty deep bench.
We have 7 bench spots.
I love it.
Set that to 7, and now all of our parameters are set. We got 2008 season under league type. We got half point PPR. We have a snake draft and 12 teams, and we randomized to the second position. So we're gonna start the mock.
Mock.
All right, it's loading, and the first pick was Todd Gurley. So the second pick, I mean, you could make an argument for Ezekiel or David Johnson, but I would probably go Le'Veon number 2. As long as Todd Gurley was picked number 1.
That's fair. I don't think anybody's going to doubt you on that.
Okay. There are arguments to be made for the other ones, but
I think there are great arguments to be made for all 4 of those guys. All 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
you can make the argument, and it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, we'll
at the end of the day, though, I mean, Bell and Gurley might be in that half tier higher.
Right, because they make up Le'Veon makes up a number 2 wide receiver and a number 1 running back, so. If we can get him in the second spot.
DJ didn't do that?
I mean, DJ did do that, but he's been hurt for a year, and he has a terrible offensive line, and
a lot of questions.
We'll
Le'Veon's
go ahead and
solid.
go with Le'Veon for this one. So we picked Le'Veon, and now the draft simulator is going through the rest of round round 1 and pretty much all of round 2 because we have the 2.11. Third pick was Zeke, 4th was David Johnson, and 5th was Antonio Brown. That's usually going to be your top 5 in most redraft leagues. Next was Saquon Barkley. Now there's a lot of debate between Saquon, Alvin, and DeAndre. I mean, you can even put Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon and Leonard Fournette up there if you want. I think it's pretty standard to see the 1 through 4 backs go, and then Antonio go at 5. That's usually what you see in most redraft leagues. But after that, it was Saquon, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Hopkins, Melvin Gordon, Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham going right there is usually like Julio that I've seen at 10.
Well, yeah.
They won't know that.
Right. At 10, it's usually like, in fact, usually it goes Julio at 10 and then probably Odell at 12 or 2.1. But it goes.
I've been seeing Julio slip into the.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think
people value the running back so much this year that I see a lot of Hopkins and Antonio Brown getting getting picked in the first round. But when it comes to Julio, when it comes to Odell Beckham, a lot of the time those slip into those first picks in the second round as people want to pick up Hunt, want to pick up Fournette, want to pick up Melvin Gordon, that is. So
right.
I think that you see that a lot happening, even though that I don't blame anybody for picking up Julio, anybody for picking up Odell Beckham, anybody for picking up Hopkins in the first round, because that's just a stud.
Yeah, getting a stud at both positions is a good thing. That's why picking in the last part of the first round is going to be good, regardless. Like everybody says that they want all the top running backs. Well, if you get a Melvin Gordon and a Julio Jones, or a Kareem Hunt and a Julio Jones, or a Leonard Fournette and a Odell Beckham Jr., like, you're gonna be fine. You don't absolutely need to have Le'Veon or David or Todd Gurley, or like, you don't need to have those people. It does help. Having one of those is like having an extra half player. But if you have two players that will make up a number one in both positions, then you don't really need it.
That's true.
We were on pick 1.10, and that was Odell. And so 1.11 was Kareem Hunt. That's a really good pick there. 1.12, the last pick of the first round, was Leonard Fournette. And that same person came back around and went Dalvin Cook. So on the second round, the first pick, he goes, or the turn right there, he went Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. Now that's a good strategy to me. I like that strategy because then I don't have to worry about running back for a while after that. That's why I don't mind having the first or the last pick in the first round or the second to last pick in the first round, because a lot of times I'll get two really good running backs, or like Ricky likes, a running back and a wide receiver that are really high.
I don't mind picks 10 through 12 at all. I really like being there, just like I like being obviously at picks 3 or 4. Those first few ones are nice, but being at the very tail end is not that bad. Just because you can get an elite player from both of those positions, you can feel great going into those 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, knowing that you're already good on kind of both sides. You feel balanced. You can flow either way depending on the players there. Because if you kind of, having that security of running back in the first 2 rounds is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's also a feeling that going into the rounds 3, 4, 5, you are only really looking at a lot of the time those top receivers, or even a tight end or something, if you can get a Gronk or a Kelsey or something like that, because you're already set at running back, right? So you're trying to look elsewhere. And
right.
A lot of the time, if you happen to see it round 3 or 4, you get a running back fall to you that you just really, really like. You just want to have on your team.
Yep.
It sucks there because you kind of feel like, oh man, I really should get a receiver here, but I would love to have this player. And so that's the balance part I'm talking about. I like having an elite receiver and an elite running back going into those next few rounds, because you just feel like you can take whoever you want. And you feel okay about
like
it.
If value falls to you, you don't have to worry about positional scarcity.
You just
at
don't
that
have to think
point.
about
You just pick them.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. All right. Pick 2.2 is Julio Jones, which is a really good pick. Obviously, him falling to the second round is.
Ooh, that's sexy.
That's
sexy.
ridiculous.
Julio in the second round. I don't care what you say. If you can, nobody's ever going to be mad about that.
Right. There's not really much to say about Julio. He's 1,000, or he's 1,400 yards pretty much every year. In fact, I heard a stat today. He will be, if he does it this year, he'll be the only receiver to do it in the consecutive 5 years straight. So, getting
his
him
touchdowns are
going to
go up. You know he's not going to have
touchdown regression.
He had the
we
worst
talk about
touchdown season. Maybe not ever, because he got injured that one year, but he probably had his second worst touchdown season last year, and that's not going to happen again. He's going to at least get a couple more. He's going to be at least have 5 or 6. It's not going to be 3.
He does it right. He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns.
No, it's not going to be double digits.
When they get down there, they want to run the ball with Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman, because that's what they do.
Yeah, but 1,400, 1,500 yards
Yeah.
and 6 touchdowns
I
is
mean,
a
that's
lot better
really
than
good.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
It feels a lot
exactly.
better, like because that first round pick,
Exactly.
or early second round, of course, is beautiful.
So 2.3 was actually Devonta Freeman, and I feel like Devonta Freeman is going to be really good in the second round this year. If you can get him in the middle to the end of the second round, I feel like that's better, but it's not necessarily necessary, I guess, is a bad way to say it, but it is a way to say it anyway.
He's going to serve you well. I mean, it's just a good offense.
I mean, and Tevin Coleman's going to be gone next year. If you're in a keeper league, I mean, he's great to keep. If you have one of the top ones, then you probably don't want to. But if he's like a second keeper or whatever,
Are you worried about?
he's great.
Are you worried about Freeman's kind of concussions? He's had a lot of concussions.
He has had a lot of concussions.
I mean, he's a hard runner. He's so good, but he just doesn't give a shit. He just runs in there and he gets wrecked. So like, I don't know, man.
I feel like with the new helmet rule, the way it is, he's not going to be able to put his head down like he used to, or he's going to get a penalty.
He just runs hard. He's just a bruiser kind of dude.
It's true, and those kind of backs do get hurt a lot. Jarrett McKinnon, for example, when he does run through between the tackles, but I feel like Devonta Freeman's a really good pick in the second round, regardless.
Fair enough.
And then 2.4, we got Michael Thomas. The 5th pick of the second round, we got Keenan Allen. That's a really good pick. I feel like Keenan Allen's going to be better than Michael Thomas this year.
Ooh.
Devontae Adams is the 6th pick of the second round.
Hold on. Back up. Say that again. Keenan Allen's going to be.
I feel like Keenan Allen's going to be better than Michael
this
Thomas.
season?
I feel like he's going to score more points.
Is that
than
just
Michael
because
Thomas
Hunter
this year.
Henry's out?
Not only that, I think he's going to get 160 targets.
Yeah. So he's going to.
And I feel like
he's going to get hyper targeted.
I feel like Michael Thomas is going to be in that 120 range. I don't feel like he's.
I mean, you don't think that Mike Williams and Tyrell Williams are going to get some of that love?
They will. They'll get the long shots, though. They don't get the underneath stuff. That's all Keenan Allen, especially with Hunter Henry gone. Well, I guess Melvin Gordon's going to get a little bit of that too, but I feel like Keenan Allen is the short and intermediate person, whereas they're going to take shots to Tyrell and shots to Mike Williams, but they're not going to throw it to them on a slant across the middle. Like
I want to disagree with this because I just think that Michael Thomas is absolutely prolific, but I think I would agree with you just on the sake that Drew Brees likes to spread that love so much, and they got Cameron Meredith now. They got still got old Teddy Poo running down the sideline. They got a lot of weapons there, so. I mean, you're probably right, just on the sake that Keenan Allen needs to get those targets if they're going to want to succeed in the same way.
Well, last year Alvin Kamara caught 80 balls, and Mark Ingram also caught 40. So that's like 120 catches right there. That didn't none of those targets went to Michael Thomas. So it's it's something that people. I feel like I'm not saying Michael Thomas is going to be bad at all. Don't get me wrong there. I think Michael Thomas is going to be at least a number 1 wide receiver, if not top 6 or 7.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But I feel like Keenan Allen's just going to have a better year than him this year. I mean, and it could be that I just like Keenan Allen a lot because I do.
Fair enough.
Pick 6 for the second round is Devontae Adams. Then we got Christian McCaffrey is 7. Larry Fitzgerald is 8. Ooh, that's pretty early for Larry Fitzgerald. I don't know if I would take him there. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I just wouldn't take him over A.J. Green or T.Y. Hilton. That's not something I would do.
People have massive love for Larry Fitz. So
it's true.
Sometimes you just reach for that guy you love.
So and then at 2.9 is A.J. Green and 2.10 is T.Y. Hilton. And then it comes to our pick. So we already have Le'Veon Bell, so we could go, if we wanted to do the balance, we could go Mike Evans or Adam Thielen or Doug Baldwin.
And we're here at once again at 2:11 with the 11th
right.
pick.
So
here
we
in the
only
second.
have.
We're at the tail end of the second.
We have 2 picks until our next pick after this one. So if we wanted to go.
So who would be your ideal pick here?
So this comes in with a little bit of draft theory. So I would go Jordan Howard
That's
here.
who I would also pick at this.
At
Either Howard or Mixon, I would pick.
McKinnon, you mean?
I would take Mixon or Howard here.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so I would probably go Howard, mainly because I think he's going to get 1,200 rushing yards this
I
year.
believe it.
And I like Adam Thielen over Mike Evans, and there's no real difference to me between Doug Baldwin and Mike Evans, because Mike Evans has without Jameis for the first 4 weeks, and Doug Baldwin hasn't practiced this entire
This is just the last.
preseason.
This is just the last handful of guys in the running back position that
Right.
I like.
There's
that
like
I want to have on my team that I like a lot.
I would say 5 running backs right here that I would really
And so
like.
I know that after this pick here, there might be some next for my third round pick, just because it's going to be so quick. But after that, it's all
Right,
kind of
and
getting pretty crappy. So
we're only
I'm
playing
looking here.
We're only playing in half point PPR, so it values the running backs a little more than if it was a full point. So we're going to go with Jordan Howard here, because that's
Let's do it.
who we both the consensus pick, and then Stephon Diggs and Rob Gronkowski went with the next 2 picks.
Yeah, those are both.
So
great picks,
that's
too.
that's 2-12 and 3-1. So it's our pick again, and we have our choice of Mike Evans or Adam Thielen. I would go Adam Thielen here. What would you go, Mike Evans?
I would be pretty okay with either one of these picks, because even though Mike Evans has coming off a down year, and even though he doesn't have Jameis there at the beginning, I think Fitzpatrick throws it to Evans just the same. I think he still gets hyper-targeted as a giant man on the field and the best weapon they have to catch the ball in those certain scenarios.
True.
He's still going to get targets. He's still going to have a good season, even if it's not that epic 2016 level season, or at least not at first. I don't know. I think that Thielen, I'm totally happy with Thielen. I think he's a fantastic pick right here. I think he's going to have a great year with Cousins. But I would pretty much be okay either way myself.
I say we just go with Mike Evans, because I think Mike Evans is going to get probably about 130 targets this year, whereas Adam Thielen's probably going to be way, way more efficient with his targets. He may only get 100 or like 110. So I'd say we just
Thielen is
just
a good
take Mike
receiver.
Evans right here.
Evans is in that good situation for sure.
Right. So we're going to take Mike Evans. So that was with 3-2, and then the next picks that went were Kenyon Drake with the 3rd pick.
Those third-round running backs, look at that.
Right.
Boom, 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 boom.
5 in a row here.
Wow.
And,
that's why we had to get Jordan Howard right there.
That's right.
You know?
That was a good pick. I feel like we made the right choice right there. So we got Kenyon Drake, Joe Mixon, LaShawn McCoy, Derrick Henry, Royce Freeman. That was 3 through 7 in the 3rd round.
That's perfect. That's exactly.
And then 3-8 is Aaron Rodgers, actually. So that's... I wouldn't take Aaron Rodgers there. We can have the debate early round quarterback all you want. I'm just not a fan of going early round quarterback. I can't justify taking somebody from that. It's basically position scarcity. So you only play one quarterback in our league. So taking him over my second running back like a Jerick McKinnon, or my second wide receiver like a Doug Baldwin or a Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Now there are some people who have the argument Rodgers could score 400 points this year. Okay, I mean that's a good argument. I can't argue with that, because he could do it, and if he does do it, then he's worth that 3rd round pick, every bit of it. But I feel like you can get a comparable quarterback in the later rounds. So
That's fair.
after Aaron Rodgers went Jerick McKinnon, Doug Baldwin, Tyreek Hill, and Juju Smith-Schuster to round out the 3rd round. That was 9 through 12 in the 3rd round. And then beginning in the 4th round, we have Adam Thielen, Travis Kelce, Allen Robinson, Alex Collins, Zach Ertz, Josh Gordon, Amari Cooper.
Still a lot of good
Cam
players.
Newton,
We got a lot of
right.
good players out here. It's early enough. You still see these are really important picks, because these are your bread and butter picks. These first rounds, first 5-6 rounds, where you really don't want to miss. You're looking for the guys who can give you those floors,
Right.
floors that you're happy with every week. You don't have to worry
and
about.
still have those big ceilings
Exactly.
that will win you the week.
Right.
Now that was pick 1 through 8 in the 4th round, and I feel like Cam Newton right there is a bit of a reach, like a lot of bit of a reach.
I mean, Cam's ceiling is as high as anyone's.
Yeah.
But he's had hot years and he's had cold years, and it's a gamble.
He's had 1 year where he was great, and he was amazing that year. He was the MVP of the league, but
the guy is guaranteed to run for 600 yards and get a handful of touchdowns on his own. So that's a nice security blanket to have.
They call him the best goal line back in the league. And that was Cam Newton was picked 8 in the 4th round, and we have Demaryius Thomas and Brandon Cooks. And then it's our pick for the 11th pick in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got. We got Le'Veon, Jordan Howard, and Mike Evans right now. So we pretty much could go any way we want. Do we want targets or do we want carries? A couple of picks right here. We have our choice between Golden Tate, Jarvis Landry, Jay Ajayi, Lamar Miller, Marvin Jones. I think I know who I want to go with here.
Who are you looking at? Who are your 1 or 2 guys that you're really looking to get right here?
So, I really want to get Golden Tate right here, mainly because I think he's going to be their underneath guy, and I am one that likes the slot receiver. I
feel you.
You could say I love slot. I'm a slot lover. We'll say that. If I was gonna go running back right here, I'd probably pick Lamar Miller over Jay Ajayi. I'm not an Ajayi fan. I just feel like he breaks down too much. If I wasn't gonna go Lamar Miller, it would be either Mark Ingram or Rex Burkhead. They both seem pretty like they got their workloads cut out for them anyway. Who would you go here?
My picks here my first thought is I would probably pick Golden Tate. So I agree with you there. I like Tate. I like the safety of the receptions in his role there. But I would also definitely consider getting another running back here while we're still early enough to get those top 25 guys, because there are only a few left at the position. And I like Lamar Miller here over Ajayi myself. I know the O-line is amazing, and Ajayi very well could get some nice weeks there, but Lamar Miller, I just feel like with the injury there in Houston, DeForeman has less immediate competition in terms of the backfield, and the Texans could be good if Watson's healthy, and Lamar Miller was good last year while they both got to play together. I might be okay with Ingram or Deion Lewis here too, but I would probably rather go Tate, but I definitely wouldn't fault anyone for picking up another back here. I would also probably throw Hogan in the mix if I wanted. If I want another play there, I like Hogan because I don't think he'll be around. It probably actually for our next pick he might.
Our next pick, that's what I was about to say. So I think Golden Tate's going to be our pick here because I think either Lamar Miller or Deion Lewis will be there for us because our next pick is only 2 picks away. So I think we're going to go Golden Tate.
Let's go Tate and see which back falls to us next.
So he took both of them, Lamar Miller and Jay Ajayi, but we did get Deion Lewis.
Okay.
Deion Lewis fell to us, or we could take Jarvis Landry here. Or Marshawn. Marshawn is a good pick here. I feel like Marshawn in the 5th, though, is a little bit of a reach.
So our best options here are Landry, are Marvin Jones, are Deion Lewis, are Mark Ingram.
I feel like Marvin Jones is probably out right here because we just took Golden Tate.
I mean, why not? Stafford slings that rock, though.
I mean, yeah, but I never know when Marvin Jones is going to catch that long touchdown. That's the only problem. That's
every week was the answer last year.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he scored, 8 touchdowns last year?
He had a great year.
Every week. It was every other week, but still. Okay, so I'm looking down the running back.
So do you like Deion Lewis, or do you like Mark Ingram, or do you like Marshawn, or do you like Burkhead?
So since we have 2 of the top, I would call them 2 of the top 12 backs. I might go Mark Ingram right here based on his upside. Right.
I'm so down for that. I have no problem with Ingram in the 5th round here. I don't give a shit about the first 4 games. He's a beast right when he gets back. I don't give a shit about the bye week.
Right.
Mark Ingram is a beast. He carried my ass last year.
That's the only reason he wants him is because he carried him.
I have no problem. You know, people on Reddit, people in the fantasy community, sometimes they don't have love for Mark Ingram. He's just a beast. You know, he's an unbelievable player that just because of the situation he's been in. You know, he had his little feuds with Peyton there in New Orleans, and he's never been the 3-down guy, right? He likes to split it up, and because of those things, you haven't really seen the Mark Ingram show as much as he's able to do. And I think last season, once we had Kamara in the mix too, you got to see them both just excel, and I got to benefit from that, and he carried my ass all season.
Yeah, he did. Freaking whooped our ass with him.
So I don't have a problem with Mark Ingram in the 5th, and I think the first 4 games scare a lot of people off. But, if you look at the first 4 games of Le'Veon's suspension, that didn't matter. He came back. Once he shook the rust off, he was a beast. You look at the suspension for Zeke last season. What did he do when he came back? He was an absolute beast. He still finished as a top 10 running back, and he missed half the season. I mean, the suspensions suck, but I don't have a problem with it here.
Yeah, I think we're going to go Mark Ingram here. But looking down the list at running back, we have a few people that I really like. So Kerryon Johnson, I really like him. I've watched him in the preseason. I think he's going to be a beast. Maybe not this year because he's going to have to compete with LeGarrette Blount and all of them. But I really feel like he's going to be a really good player. We have Jamal Williams, who I really enjoy taking as long as I can get Aaron Jones as well. I like taking both of them because...
It's only 2 games for Aaron Jones.
Exactly, and we'll see how it shakes out, which one is going to take that job, because I don't think that they're going to share first and second down carries. I think the one that gets the one that gets the carries is going to be really valuable in fantasy because he plays with Aaron Rodgers. So I feel like Mark Ingram's our play here, so we're going to go ahead and take him.
Do it.
All right, so the 5th round, it goes after our pick, so this starts at 3 and goes to 12 in the 5th round. We got Jarvis Landry, Deshaun Watson as the 3rd quarterback off. We got Alshon Jeffrey, Chris Hogan, Jimmy Graham, Rashad Penny, Marvin Jones, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and Greg Olsen. That's 3 through 12.
Let's go.
In the 5th round. So I was thinking that Jarvis Landry was going to get picked there because he was pretty much an outlier right there for the wide receiver position. I thought Marvin Jones would go there too. And yeah, I mean, I don't see anything really wrong with this. I wouldn't take Deshaun Watson in that place. He has massive upside. Obviously, we saw it last year, but I feel like
his ADP is just so high.
Yeah,
so high.
Taking a player who's, I mean, pretty much any player besides like a Dalvin Cook who is gonna get the rock. I feel like taking any player who had 4 games of production in 1 year, and that's the only sample size that you have of him, and him throwing 7 touchdowns in those 4 games is just like ridiculous to me to take him in the 5th round.
He looked
when
real
you
good,
can
though.
get. Yeah, he did.
Did
He
you
looked
watch that
really
Seattle
good.
game? He looked really good at football.
Really,
He was a very good football player.
He looked really good.
And I
but
look
taking
forward to
him,
watching him play football again.
taking him over Tom Brady, taking him over Russell Wilson just doesn't make sense.
No, I mean I understand that is crazy just because of the sample size.
Like you're
difference.
taking him over the GOAT.
Especially, I mean, Russell Wilson, the number 1 fantasy quarterback
Right,
last season.
because he runs a lot.
You know, well, he's a good football player.
Deshaun should do that. Right, Deshaun should do that. But he just, I don't know. He hurt his knee, so he may not run as much, and that's going to hurt him in fantasy for sure. Okay, so 6th round. We got the first pick of the 6th round through the 10th pick. It's Corey Davis, Sony Michel, Deion Lewis, Evan Ingram, Robert Woods, Michael Crabtree, Jordan Reed, Rex Burkhead, Sammy Watkins, and Drew Brees. I don't really see anything wrong with that one. I feel like you could have got Jordan Reed about 3 rounds later. Based on ADP, he's going in about the 10th round, back of the 9th, beginning of the 10th.
Wow, Jordan Reed's gone before a lot of these tight
Jordan
ends.
Reed's gone before Delaney Walker,
Wow.
Kyle Rudolph, Trey Burton.
I mean, it's not crazy on his ceiling. His ceiling is just as high, if not higher, than all those guys. But his injury history is so scary.
Right, we haven't seen him play a full season, I don't think, in his entire career. So we're at pick 11 of the 6th round here, and our choices are Marshawn is still there. That's not a
Nice.
bad pick at all.
I like that.
Tevin Coleman.
I like all 3 of those.
Kerryon Johnson, I'm a fan of. I'm not a big fan of Tevin Coleman, mainly because I never know when to play him. I don't like those boom bust running backs.
I would take Goodwin here. I don't mind taking Goodwin or,
right.
or Crowder.
So that's what I was looking at. So our wide receivers are looking pretty thin right now. We got Mike Evans and Golden Tate, but that's the only ones we have, and we're pretty good on running back right now. So we have Marquise Goodwin or Jamison Crowder, Manuel Sanders, Robbie Anderson's not bad. Pierre Garçon, I feel like he's going to be the number 2. He'll probably be the possession receiver there, but I don't feel like he's going to get as many targets as Marquise Goodwin. So.
I would be okay with Sanders, Goodwin, or Crowder here. I'm not as big on Robbie Anderson in comparison to the other options, at least.
Right.
And Garçon, I'm kind of indifferent towards, but I like those first 3 guys.
Yeah, I think Marquise Goodwin's going to be our pick here.
I'm definitely down for Goodwin.
Okay, we'll take him, and then the next 2 picks are Matthew Stafford and Jamison Crowder. So Marshawn is still there in the 7th round. That's not a bad value
That's
right
great
there.
Value.
I think we're going to go ahead and take him.
I would take that just because he's there, just because we can.
Right.
Filling out the bench nicely.
Right. Right now we have Le'Veon, Jordan Howard, Mike Evans, Golden Tate, Marquise Goodwin, Mark Ingram, and Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
So we took Marshawn Lynch in the last round, not Mark
sexy.
Ingram.
That's a sexy lineup, though.
Okay. So the picks in the 7th round were Cooper Kupp, Will Fuller, Tyreek Hill, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Ronald Jones, which I probably wouldn't take
Terry Cohen.
there. Yeah. Terry Cohen's pretty good. I wouldn't take Ronald Jones over Tevin Coleman or Kerryon Johnson or Carlos Hyde, but that is what it is. Andrew Luck.
Some people just really believe. They really believe.
He's been doing terrible in the preseason, though.
Yeah, I say fuck it until he can show otherwise.
That's right. So, pick 9 in the 7th round was Andrew Luck, and then Tevin Coleman, Devin Funchess, and Jimmy Garoppolo to round out the 7th round. And starting in the 8th round, it goes Kerryon Johnson, Carlos Hyde, Pierre Garçon, Julian Edelman. That was a really good pick right there. The Jacksonville defense goes in the 8th round.
At 8.5, wow.
Don't do that, please.
That's so early.
That's ridiculous.
We're right at halfway. We're right at the halfway point in the draft.
Right. It's just
and
something.
Defense is already off the board.
You're allowing value to fall to your opponents when
just because they had so many touchdowns.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, true.
That's the reason.
But the number 1 defense has not repeated in the last 10 years.
But would it really honestly surprise you, though, if they did it again this season?
It would not surprise me at all.
They haven't gotten worse.
In fact, I expect it to happen.
Yeah.
But
that's why he's at 8.5 here.
It's not a good. I would not consider
there are too many good
pick.
players out in the 8th round for me to take a defense right there. But.
Like you can't. I mean, Julian Edelman went before him, but you can't take Jacksonville defense around players like Julian Edelman. Like Julian Edelman's going to have 100 catches.
Any of the 5 players after Jacksonville here, and picks 8.6 through 8.10, I would rather have over defense.
So Isaiah Crowell. Jordy Nelson, he's okay. Emmanuel Sanders definitely. Randall Cobb definitely, and Nelson Aguilar definitely.
Aguilar.
So
all right, so that's half the draft, right? We've completed. We did a nice little mock there for half the draft. We're not gonna continue and do the entire rest of the draft at this pace because it'd be a long one. So we'll go ahead and just clarify our last picks of the draft here and wrap things up.
All right, so it's round 8. We're gonna fill out a quarterback and tight end. We did it in the other order. We got Delaney in the 8th, and then we came back around and got Phillip Rivers in the 9th.
Classic.
Both of them I feel are good picks. Delaney is a set it and forget it to me. You don't even have to worry about.
These are two old faithfuls.
Right.
These are 2 old faithfuls, conservative picks, consistent picks. You don't have to worry about them, either one.
Right, because Delaney's going to get 120 targets regardless. Then we came back in round 10. We went with a little bit of consistency. We wanted Marquise Lee as a wide receiver. Then round 11, we went James White. Maybe he's going to get the number 1 running back.
So here around 11, that leaves us with 4 receivers and 4 running backs. So we have we have our quarterback, we have our tight end, and we have or 5 running backs. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we're set on running backs because we already have a handful of them, and then receivers we're getting there too. We are starting to fill out now just our depth
Right,
and
so
our
we got-
upside.
We got 4 running backs and 5 wide receiver, 5 running backs and 4 wide receivers. So around 12, we came back with another wide receiver in Cameron Meredith, who he may be hurt right now, but it's the 12th round, and I feel like he's going to be good once he gets back in the swing of things.
The upside is there.
Plus, he's got Drew Brees, which
Exactly.
is you can't.
He's in a good situation. So if he's healthy, he's going to succeed.
So round 13, we got Patrick Mahomes. Just for the upside, it's like thunder and lightning with Phillip Rivers and Patrick Mahomes. You can have Phillip be the steady Eddie, and then if Patrick Mahomes starts taking off, you can throw him in there, or maybe trade Phillip Rivers, or just pick up a waiver wire.
And this was a pick that in the 13th round, right, we're getting to the very end of the draft. We've filled out pretty much most of our starting receivers and our running backs, and we've got it pretty much all our positions ready. And so we're looking at what's the best dude on the board right now, and what do I really need? And okay, we spent an 8th round pick on Delaney Walker, which is not early by any means, but some people like to wait even another 1 or 2 rounds for a tight end. And so since we got that before we ended up getting Rivers in the 9th round, we waited a little bit longer on quarterback. We're looking at, okay, we don't need a tight end really because we're not going to play any of these guys over Delaney. But it's possible at the quarterback position you have an awesome matchup or some guys on a hot streak and dropping 30 bombs every week.
Right.
That maybe having that little upside guy on the bench, even with your nice and secure blanket of Rivers, is worth it to roster that another guy. Because you can either drop him or trade him if he's not really necessary and Rivers is killing it, or you might end up playing him instead. So it's nice to kind of have that security.
Yeah, think about having the upside of Deshaun Watson, but having the safety of Phillip Rivers.
Right, exactly.
So, and then in the 14th round, we actually went a little bit off the board here, or off my board.
Spicy.
I don't usually
It's
do
a spicy pick.
We went Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, the defense in the
because,
14th round.
it
So
was-
early.
It's the third to the last round. It's not necessarily early, but it would
What
be
a
early for
reach.
me.
What a reach.
But I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are going to have a really good defense this year, and that a 1-round reach on a defense is not really that big of a deal. It's not the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 8th round, which happened in this draft.
Yeah, that's true. You see the Jacksonville defense going super early, and
Right.
I think the Minnesota Vikings are a fantastic defense. And once you're at that 14th round, I really don't mind picking one of those top options. If they're out there and the value's right, why not?
Right. And then 15th round, we went with Tyrell Williams. We got a lot of upside with him. We got Phillip Rivers, so we have that connection.
I like him.
There was a couple of picks. We were actually debating that pick a lot.
There were some options.
Yeah, there was
It's round
Tyler
15.
Lockett. There was we could have gone with a handcuff to our running backs, but we just felt like Tyrell Williams has that big playability that every once in a while, like maybe on a bye week, he'll get you a long touchdown and win you that week. And then round 16 is the kicker. We went with Chris Boswell because he was the one that was there.
Because he was there. And,
Right.
well, out of the options that were there, he was definitely the sexier option, being on a kind of a high-profile offense. You know they're going to be scoring a lot. You know they're a good team. That's usually good for a kicker. You know he's going to get a lot of opportunity. And Boswell is not one of the top guys, but he's definitely one of the top guys.
Well, he scored 163 points last year, which I think put him at 4th last year.
That's solid.
So
That's pretty solid.
fourth
And
kicker,
that's why
obviously,
you want to wait on those, and because you can still get a top guy at the end there.
And not that it matters, but our draft grade here is a 95 out of 100.
We
which
got
is
an A.
I
got an A.
So when you're doing the Fantasy Pros draft, just because you get, like, say you get a C or a D or whatever,
D's nuts.
don't make that be the end-all be-all. Like, if you took players that you liked and you are really happy with your with the players that you have, don't worry about your draft grade.
I wouldn't read too much into their algorithm. Sometimes I have a team I really like, and it gives you like a B or a B plus or a C plus or something. You're like, fuck, I like that team. And other times you're like, it was okay. I don't really like these guys, but I got some good value. And then it gives you like an A minus or something. So it's like, I don't know. There's an algorithm there, but I wouldn't
Right.
worry about it.
So if you really want to get the an A+ literally every time. All you got to do is take the top person that
They're
the experts take you to
suggesting,
pick.
That's true.
it.
It's just using their rankings. So if you just
Right.
want to take their favorites, but it's still a nice fefeeling to get a good one.
It is.
With
It's
guys,
a
if
good
you have
feeling.
guys
It's
you like.
confirmation, I
Yeah,
guess.
and it's good practice at a different spots draft order wise.
Right. So we're done with this draft, and again, you can find this at fantasydraftwizard.com. It'll take 5 minutes. For us, it took 40 because we were explaining each pick and trying to give y'all a little bit of insight into what we were thinking.
Something. You already know.
But yeah, it's the easiest thing in the world, and it'll take you, like I said, like 5 to 10 minutes to do.
If you
So-
go against the computer, it takes 5 minutes. If you go against in the mock draft lobbies, the live lobbies with other people, then it will take more like half an
Yeah,
hour.
it'll take-
because you're with real people and whatnot. But
And then people leave those, and their auto picks go for
they're
the
usually
entire
not good.
time.
Yeah.
It's
If
so
you want to do
stupid.
mock drafting with live people, where it takes a little bit longer and it's more like a real draft, my personal rank order, I would say that you want to try Fantasy Football Calculator, which is they have an app you can get on your phone, and it's really good. Then I would probably recommend Fantasy Pros, like what we're doing here, except with the live people, or the sleeper mock drafts are also probably the next one I would recommend. Those are I feel like your best options, because you can mock draft on Yahoo or on ESPN, but I feel like it's just not quite as
People leave those a lot. Like, they leave after the first couple of rounds because they
sucks,
don't
yeah.
think that anybody's going to stay, so they just leave.
And really, like, you don't get as much in mock drafting the first 4 rounds as you do rounds 5 through 11 or whatever, right? Those are really where you can get a good sense to where guys are going, where you want to reach for guys, where you want to let them go. And the first rounds are always pretty much the same, so that's kind of annoying.
And if you really want to get better at fantasy and know where people are going to go in your draft, like you really you want to know, do best balls. You can do them on the draft app for $1, or you can do them for $0. You can do an entire best ball draft for $0 on the draft app, and most of the time people don't leave those. But I
That's
mean,
true. Doing best ball drafts, nobody leaves because there's $1 on the line. Or
right?
whatever.
If it's $1, nobody's going to leave because they know they can win $10.
I will
or
say that
whatever it is.
best ball drafting is a little different. People have different draft strategies a little bit.
It's
for
true.
best
You
ball.
want to take normally you want to take the higher upside guys because you don't have to.
But it's still a good
play them
It's
every
still
week.
good to get a general sense.
Yeah, it's good to know, like, Jarvis Landry's gonna go in the 5th round, or you're not gonna see Jordan Reed go in the 3rd round. You know,
Right.
it's like it's just things like get a general draft sense, basically. And that was our mock draft. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit long, but we'll hopefully be able to cut it down a little bit.
It's
in
draft time, bitches. Let's
the
go.
next few. Yeah. So this Sunday, y'all better get ready. I'm coming for that ass.
Sunday
Coming
fun
for that
day.
ass.
Hey, everybody get on the sleeper. Get on the sleeper. There's 9 of 12 right now. You're probably not listening to this, but if you are, the 3 people, make sure you get up on sleeper in the league for Sunday so we can draft, and then I'll put it all on ESPN afterwards.
Yeah, it'll be easier to do it that way because then we'll be able to put the keepers in and we won't have to worry about.
And it's
all
just
that
cool.
stuff.
You'll be able to see the
I mean,
whole
the sleeper app is really good.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and until next time, form the token ring.
This has been a Token Ring production, not including the NFL theme. All music brought to you by Richie Flow. You can find his beats at SoundCloud, Richie